Kuwait, tiny on a map, massive in story. In the next 10 minutes, I'll take you from pearl diver's breath to the shimmering glass of modern towers, from the secret of its oil wealth to the people who keep this country alive. Stay with me, because this is not just geography. It's a human story of risk, reinvention, and the price of quick riches. Kuwait sits on the edge of the Arabian Gulf, a narrow belt of life pressed up against an impossible desert. It's small, a handful of islands, a strip of coastline, and a capital that hums with traffic, neon, and coffee shops. But beneath the sand, this little nation holds one of the world's great fortunes, oil. That black gold has built palaces and pensions, but it's also created questions about identity, dependence, and the future. I want you to feel Kuwait, not just know it. The heat on your skin, the creak of a wooden dhow, the clatter of street vendors, because the details are where the truth lives. Picture this, sun like a white coin dropped into the sky, sand stretching flat to the horizon, a horizon that blinks with heat. Summers here are brutal, temperatures that climb, unrelenting, into the high 40s and 50s Celsius. Dust storms sweep across the plain, and the city takes on a soft orange haze. Yet right where the desert stops, the sea begins, a cobalt slice of cool. Fishermen, pearl divers, and traders once read these waters like we read a book. They knew currents, tides, the taste of rain in the air. Today you can still smell the sea from Kuwait Bay, mixed with cardamom and diesel, a scent that tells 1,000 small stories. Kuwait's history is a chain of hands. Pearl divers plunging into cold, dark water for pearls that would feed families for a year. Shipwrights carving dhows from teak. Merchants trading across the Gulf. Then, in 1938, discovery changed everything. Oil was found under the sand, and that discovery remade ordinary lives into something else overnight. Imagine the fisherman who one season finds his catch dwindling and his son asking for bread. Then someone says, there's work at the new oil field. He learns to weld instead of dive. His hands smell of metal and oil now, but his children go to school. That switch from sea to oil is the heartbeat of modern Kuwait. Oil brought enormous wealth. Roads, hospitals, pensions, a currency that became one of the strongest in the world. The skyline of Kuwait City rose, full of glass, reflective and proud. The Kuwait Towers, the shimmering new complexes, the malls where the air is always cool and the lights never dim. Government revenue ballooned, and the state created a social safety net many countries envy. But here's the friction. When a country runs on a single commodity, its fate rides the price of a barrel. When oil prices drop, people feel it everywhere. Projects slow, hiring freezes appear, an uneasy hush replaces the steady hum. And because public sector jobs became comfortable and generous, many nationals found themselves dependent on the state. That tension, comfort versus incentive, security versus entrepreneurship, is a real battle inside a modern Kuwaiti household. Kuwait is a place of contrasts. In the same block, you'll find an old coffee shop where men sip strong tea and recite poetry in Gulf Arabic. And across the street, a co-working space filled with freelancers and headphones uploading code to servers. Tradition sits cheek by jowl with hypermodern ambition. That clash shapes people's choices. Keep the family honor and a stable public job, or risk everything to build a startup that might pay off or might not. Take the young Kuwaiti artist I met once. He paints desert scenes with metal scraps embedded in the canvas, a shout against disposable wealth. His father, a retired civil servant, wants him to take a steady post. The son wants to shout and rearrange icons. The father wants quiet and certainty. That conversation is happening in living rooms across the country. It's the same argument. Preserve what you have or chase something uncertain but yours. Kuwait is also a city of people who came to build it. Almost a third of the population are expatriates, workers from South Asia, Southeast Asia, and beyond, who keep construction moving, run shops, teach in schools, and staff hospitals. They send back money, gift, and hope. Their presence brings vibrancy and complexity to Kuwaiti society. New foods, new languages, new music, and it raises powerful questions about belonging, rights, and long-term vision. The country depends on these workers, and yet many of them live with fewer protections and a precarious status. That imbalance is part of Kuwait's modern tension, prosperity built on the shoulders of those who often remain invisible. Don't let oil erase the sea. Kuwait's identity is still braided with maritime heritage, the bougainvillea-laced forts, the pearl diving songs, the slow elegance of a dhow at sunset. Pearl seasons shape marriages, rivalries, and legends. Even now you can hear those rhythms in the seaside neighborhoods where elders talk about the ocean like an old friend. Kuwait's culture didn't die when the rigs came. It absorbed them, rearranged them, and made something new. Then there's a darker chapter, 1990. When Iraq invaded, the country felt small and fragile again. Families scattered, treasures vanished, and pride was bruised. But the recovery, the rebuilding of infrastructure, homes, and trust, showed another side of Kuwait, resilience. When residents returned, they didn't simply rebuild buildings. They reclaimed neighborhoods, restarted businesses, and reinvented institutions. That memory of vulnerability lives in the national psyche, a reminder that wealth can't replace security, and that sovereignty must be defended. Now Kuwait faces a future with hard questions. Can a nation move from dependence on a finite resource to a diversified economy? Can it empower its young people to start businesses, not simply wait for government jobs? Can it balance development with environmental limits, cooling cities that are baking faster each year, protecting shores from rising seas, and rethinking water use in a landscape with no rivers? There are answers taking shape: finance, real estate, art, and a cautious but growing tech sector. Young Kuwaitis are creating micro-brands, opening galleries, and running small consultancies. The state is talking about reform and investment. But transition is slow, and the stakes are high. Let me tell you about Salma, a young Kuwaiti I met in a narrow alley behind a falafel shop. She learned culinary skills from her grandmother and started a tiny catering business on Instagram. At first, neighbors laughed, "Why leave a safe office job?" Now her weekend orders overflow. She hires 2 friends. She is quietly changing what success looks like in her circle. Not a massive fortune, but independence and pride. That's the real story of modern Kuwait. Small acts building a different future. Kuwait is many things at once. An oil treasure, a desert body with a heart of sea, an old-world port that now gazes at glass towers. It's a place where cradle-to-grave security meets the restless hunger of a new generation. And through all the sand and steel, people keep making life. Trading, cooking, singing, arguing, inventing. The most honest way to understand Kuwait is to listen. To the elders who hum sea songs, to the workers who weld at dawn, and to the kids who sketch futures on a phone. If this pulled you into Kuwait like a hope, do me a favor, hit like. It tells YouTube you want more stories like this. Drop a comment. What surprised you most? The Pearl Divers, the reign of skyscrapers, or Salma's little catering business? And if you want more deep dives, short, human, sensory, subscribe and ring the bell. I post stories that make the world feel a little smaller and a lot more alive. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a dhow slipping through morning mist, a man on deck humming an old Pearl diving tune, the city's skyline waking up with cranes and coffee steam. That blend, ancient sea breath and new glass shine, is Kuwait. It's messy, it's beautiful, and it's still being written. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.